Hanging to the shoulder is what deep squats are for the hips and knees. It's great loaded mobility when you do it right. In today's video, I'm going to go over a few tips and tricks so you can make the most of your hanging work. The first tip is going to be on making sure that you are transitioning between what I call an active hang and a dead hang. In doing so, we can develop strength of the shoulder blades, which over time is going to carry over into both more advanced movements and is just going to keep your shoulders healthier for longer. So the first trick is to come into a dead hang and initiate each movement with an active hang when it comes to your pull-ups and chin-up work. So for example, my dead hang is going to be when I'm completely relaxed at the bottom. In order to transition to an active hang, I'm going to think about drawing my shoulder blades into my back pockets. What that's going to do is create daylight between, so if I turn the ring sideways, if I'm in a dead hang, you'll notice there is no gap between my ears. If I come into an active hang, you'll notice my arms haven't changed position, but my shoulder blades are tucked back and down. And what this little movement does is it makes sure that, firstly, we're using the larger pulling muscles, such as the lats, rather than just relying on smaller pulling muscles, such as the biceps. So you're going to get stronger because you're using more muscle mass. You're also going to find that if you haven't been doing this, it is going to be a little bit of a hit to the ego, because even that subtle movement at the start of each rep is going to show you how strong your shoulder blades actually are. But even though it only takes a second or two, if as soon as your shoulders or as soon as your scapula start to fatigue, that's going to be the end of your pull-up game. The next thing to do is to think about pushing your head through your hands, or your head through your shoulders at the end or at the bottom of each repetition. What this is doing is just going to improve your mobility overhead. You're going to get a slight stretch on the upper back, and it's also going to help you combine the strength gains from using the bigger pulling muscles of the lats with the mobility gains by getting or alleviating some tightness in the upper back. So I'm just going to show you the difference now. So we'll start in our dead hang position. From here, we're going to tuck our shoulder blades into our back pockets. So we've got some daylight in between our ears and our shoulders. Once we've initiated the pull-up, when we come down into this position, we're going to push our head through our hands, relax completely, and then from here, we're going to pull our shoulder blades into our back pockets to initiate the second repetition. The next thing we're going to think about is our pelvic position during our chin-up and our hanging work. So if, for example, you're coming into that dead hang position, but your pelvis is tilted backwards, then you're going to be missing out on some potential benefits. 1, in your pull-up strength, 2, in your shoulder mobility, and 3, missing out on some potential hip flexor strengthening and stretching at the same time. So what do I mean by that? If you're hanging on the rings, or indeed from a bar, but you're basically pushing your belly button forward, and you can see the arch in my back here, yes, I might be able to strengthen the shoulders with my active hang, but there's also a disconnect between my upper and lower body. Now, even though these rings aren't hanging high enough for me to be fully standing up, one thing I can do is make sure, so if this is my pelvis, I want to make sure that I'm thinking about imagining my pelvis as a bowl of water. I want to make sure that that bowl of water is level. At the moment, it's spilling water out the front. I want to think about squeezing my bum tight so that there is no water spilling. What this is going to do is it's going to connect my upper body through my trunk through to my lower body. It's also going to make sure that the body is working as one piece. If you've ever tried to, for example, move someone who's deliberately acting like a dead weight, it's very difficult to move them. So tighter is lighter. So I'm going to think about making sure that I'm squeezing my bum tight. If I've not got the height to play about with the, if I've not got the height to get my legs involved, I can have my legs in front of me. Rather than arching my back, I'm going to think about squeezing my bum tight. From here, then I can initiate my pull-up. So I'm going to go from a dead hang to an active hang, tucking my shoulders into my back pocket. I'm going to have my feet slightly in front of me, squeeze my bum tight, and then I'm going to initiate my pull-up. So again, feet or toes in front of me, squeeze my bum tight, tuck my shoulders into my back pockets, and then pull. The final coaching cue I'm going to give you for your pulling work is to think less about the chin getting over the bar, or indeed getting over the rings, and to think more about driving that elbow back behind you. So the coaching cue I like to think of is, imagine there's somebody you're not particularly fond of who is behind you, and you're going to think about smashing or driving your elbows into that person's stomach. So it needs to be an aggressive drive back of the elbow. Even if you're on a pull-up progression that is difficult for you, so maybe it's a weighted chin-up 1RM, maybe you're trying a mixed grip chin-up for the first time, you want to think about getting that elbow back behind you, because this is going to give you a more powerful pull than simply getting your chin over the bar or the rings. Indeed, if we want to take our chin-up work into muscle-ups, we're going to think about trying to bring the bar down to our sternum, which is not going to happen if all the pull-up strength we've built is only coming to our chin. So think about attacking with the elbows and slamming them back into the person behind you. So just as an example, if I'm only aiming to get my chin over the bar or the rings, then I'm going to finish my pull here. Whereas if I think about attacking with my elbows and slamming them backwards, notice how here I've gone completely out of shot, but you've noticed I've got my chest over the bar, as opposed to simply just thinking of getting my chin up. You'll also notice as well, a lot of people when they do chin-ups, they're so used to just getting their head over that they're almost reinforcing this forward head position and almost this nodding bird type position that we're used to seeing. And it's ironic because a lot of our pulling work might be designed to alleviate or try to counteract this forward shoulder posture, this forward head posture that we see in daily life with typing and driving, and yet we're doing our pull-ups and we're doing a similar thing. I always find it quite funny to watch videos of myself going for similar 1 rep max attempts, and it's like I'm trying to headbutt an imaginary person in front of me. So the final cue I would give you is think about relaxing your face. What I mean by that is there's a lot of tension in our neck from daily lives anyway, but when you do your pull-up, be aggressive with the elbows, be relaxed with the face. So quick summary of all that. Firstly, transitioning from a dead to active hang each time, so making sure we're bringing in the bigger pulling muscles of the lats and not just relying on the smaller pulling muscles like the biceps. Secondly, pushing the head through the hands with each repetition, because that's going to make sure that we're getting a bonus amount of overhead mobility and potentially releasing a little bit of tension in the upper back. Thirdly, the pelvic position, so making sure that we're not spilling water out the front and that we're squeezing the feet together and squeezing our glutes so we can connect the upper body through the trunk, through the lower body. Remember, tighter is lighter. And finally, rather than thinking about getting your chin over the bar, think more about aggressively attacking and driving the elbows back behind you for a more powerful pull. Finally, relax the face, wiggle the jaw, just so we can try and avoid excessive tension going towards the neck, and so we can think about making sure that we are using the larger pulling muscles of the lats rather than adding stress onto smaller muscles such as the biceps or unnecessary tension on the neck. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please like, share and subscribe so that this video can reach more people, and make sure that you're upping your hanging and pulling game by following these key tips. Thank you very much. I'm Todd from P2P Coaching. Catch you again in the next video.